Oh, hey there, children of the night. This is just a quick Bob check-in with you guys. Unfortunately, as you may have noticed, it's been a while since I've uploaded an episode. Unfortunately, that was due to some health issues I was going through. I suffered a minor heart attack due to some stress and anxiety that I was going through. So, good news is I'm good. I don't need surgery. It was minor, something I'm going to have to keep an eye on, but it's unfortunate that it happened, and when that came up, the show had to go on the back burner for a little bit so I can get myself situated. But without further ado, I'm back. Here's an episode that Count and I recorded a little bit ago that I didn't get a chance to release, and going forward, we'll be back on our normal scheduling. Thank you so much for being patient, everybody. Enjoy the Japanese legend of the Teke Teke.
From Mothman and Nessie to the spirit that haunts your home, welcome to Bob After Dark, a podcast about legends, lore, and the supernatural. So turn your lights down and your volume up and enjoy your trip to the shadows.
Oh, hey there, children of night, and welcome to Bob After Dark, the show that takes you into the shadows and goes and says hello everything that goes bumping at night. I'm your host with the most that enjoys toast, Bob, and alongside of me, as always, is my ever wonderful, ever vampiric, ever cape-wearing, the heartthrob of Bob After Dark, my friend, my brother, my producer, Count Panek himself.
Bob, how's it going? Excited to be back here. Another edition of Bob After Dark. Episode number, who's counting?
Who's counting? We're less than 130, I think, in podcast form. Maybe we did get 130. I don't know. But it's weird because I was just talking to somebody today. Bob After Dark technically has been around 4 years.
Yeah.
Technically. But we took a year of radio only.
Yes.
So I don't count the early days.
Okay.
Because, the early days radio's great. I love my radio presence. But, you can't go super far with that. So then after the first year of us doing it, then we moved into podcasting.
Yeah.
And then we took a year off for basically COVID. I was doing stuff, but the world just kind of shut down.
Yeah.
And then, so it's always interesting.
It's always a murky number.
Yes, it is. So, but other than that, it's good to see you, Count.
Good to see you too, Bob. How you been?
Oh, not too bad. What's your weekend update, Count?
The weekend update, Bob, a lot of moving and shaking, hopping around the region, seeing what's out there. I went to my old high school. They had a
Transylvania University?
Yeah. They're in
Transylvania High.
They're in Hammond, Indiana, and
you went to school in Hammond? There's a Hammond in Transylvania?
There is, yes. But they had their annual auction off. They bid on items, kind of like the silent auction. So I took the company card. I went down there, tried to see if I could get anything good, and
any cursed artifacts?
It's tough. No cursed artifacts. No dolls or anything of that nature either to be had, but it was a good time all in all, and fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you? How'd you?
I pulled an airplane.
I saw this.
I pulled an airplane.
Yeah.
And I know, listen, this sounds ridiculous, but let me explain.
Yeah.
So, as you guys may know, my free time, with the very little that I have of it, I'm a vice president of a 501c3 group called the Windy City Ghostbusters. We dress like the characters you see in the movie, and we raise money for charity. We dress up. We have a really good time. I've been doing it 9 years now. It's a really good organization. You guys check us out on the internet there, Windy City Ghostbusters. Again, legit 501c3 charity. I digress. So for the plane pulls, the first year we ever did it, there is an organization called Pass the Torch for the Special Olympics, where we went to Lewis University. Are you familiar?
Lewis University.
Over there in Romeoville.
Okay.
So they have an airstrip right there on the university.
Right there.
And so they bring in Delta, I believe, was the airline. I could be wrong. It might have been United, but I'm going to go with Delta. They flew in not a big 737, but like a little smaller passenger plane. They flew that in, and the idea is that you would raise money for the Special Olympics, your team, and then you would go and compete pulling this airplane. And the idea is that the fastest group to pull an airplane would win, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's not about winning.
No.
The idea is that you'd raise money, and the Windy City Ghostbusters raised $825
Wow.
for the
the Special Olympics Chicago, which is really cool, man. And I can proudly say we did succeed. We didn't win, but we did pull the airplane. We pulled the airplane 6 feet or the 12 feet in 6 seconds because you only pull it in increments of 12 feet.
Yeah.
And everybody's been asking me, well, how hard was it? I'm like, believe it or not, once you get it pulling, it's not terrible.
No.
It's like, but that initial tug was brutal.
Yeah.
It's like almost like you're pulling like a wall and you're not getting anywhere. But with the strength of my team, we were able to do it. And again, we raised good money. I think altogether the charity raised something, I couldn't even remember the number, but it was in the thousands that we raised for it, which is great. So yeah, that was my thing. My big moment of the weekend is I pulled an airplane.
You pulled an airplane, and again, all for a good cause. And I did ask you that too, myself included. How hard was it to pull that plane, Bob? You are you could put yourself on a list of the strongest men around in the world.
In the world, perhaps the world's strongest podcaster. Even though I'm sure there's bodybuilding podcasts out there.
The world's strongest Bob.
So please, bodybuilding podcast. Maybe I'll go with the world's strongest paranormal podcaster.
Yeah, you know what? Well, that's
until one's like a bodybuilder or something. And really cool to announce too. I'm officially down 20 pounds.
Bob, that's fantastic. From pulling the plane?
No.
Oh.
I've been doing the gym thing lately. The gym. I joined a gym and I've been working out and I cut a lot out of my diet.
Yeah.
I lost 20 pounds. I'm pretty proud of that.
That's the thing. Well, congratulations, Bob.
Thank you.
That's the thing. Just cutting the simple things out, like the pop.
It does, and moving around.
Sugar.
I haven't. People are like, well, how are you doing? I'm like, I just cut a lot out. I don't drink my calories these days. I've cut down a lot on beer.
That's always the pain, right?
It's hard. I drink beer, so I've been cut back on the drinking quite a bit. I, just watch what I eat for the most part. And I don't do a grueling workout, just little bits here and there, and it really pays a difference. So if you guys are out there and you're struggling with making that first step, let me tell you, it is tough to make that first step. But once you do it, I'm like now a little over a month and a half in, and it's rewarding. It's so cool.
You're not telling people to go out there and go hit the weights hard, and
you know what? I'm not going to give you the advice. I'm not that person. Friend of the show, Mike, is actually the one who gave me my advice. Yeah, Mike Ramone. He gave me all my advice to start off. So I'm not going to give you advice on what to do. I will just tell you to go and do it or find the resources on how to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If this is your first time ever watching or listening to Bob After Dark, me and Count Panek come on every week-ish where we talk about legends, lore, supernatural things that go bump in the night, lights in the sky, and weird cryptid stories. And, of course, Count Panek's favorite sport.
Oh, Bob. Probably bowling. I mean,
that's a good answer. I bowled a lot in high school.
I was on the team too. Curling is a fun sport. Well, playing or watching? What are you talking about?
Well, say watching.
Yeah, bowling. I don't know. I try to be sporty when I can, Bob. I like all the sports, ball and everything.
I'm not a sports person.
You're not a sports person?
I bowled. I golfed in high school. My newest hobby is disc golf.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
Pickleball.
Is pretty fun.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Usually I know a certain crowd really enjoys that, and that's pretty cool.
Vampires.
All right. So we split the show up into 2 parts. First part's the lore of the week. The lore of the week is one.
Yeah.
That's where we dive into the meat and potatoes of the episode. That's where we find the stories and the interesting stuff. And then we have the spooky, weird news stories of the week. That's where you, the fans, or me, go dig online for weird, odd stories. Either it's weird paranormal stuff, cryptid sightings, advances in science that borderline on science fiction, whatever it could be. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So our first one, can you take a guess who wrote it?
Our good friend?
Our good friend Tim Banal from Coast to Coast AM. Big shout out to Tim Banal. We appreciate you on the show. You make my life a lot easier. We got 2 from Tim Banal and then 1 from Not, so I'm interested to dive into that. The first story's title is Dispute Over Bigfoot. Prompts call to police at Ohio Burger King.
Okay.
In a bizarre story out of Ohio, cops were called to a Burger King to defuse a dispute that erupted over, of all things, Bigfoot. According to a local media report, the strange incident occurred at one of the fast food chain's locations in the county of Scioto, a bystander at the Burger King, phoned the police to alert them of. I'm sorry, this is hilarious. Alert them of what imagines was a passionate argument unfolding between two men outside the restaurant. When the officers arrived on the scene, they were undoubtedly surprised to discover the root of the dispute: Sasquatch.
What? Oh my goodness.
Alas, police did not indicate the specific nature of the debate, though it is probably safe to assume the argument centered whether or not the iconic cryptid actually exists. Fortunately, the cops were able to calm down the two men before the brawl over Bigfoot erupted in the Burger King parking lot. A similarly strange dispute happened back in 2016 when a man and his son's girlfriend got into an argument over the infamous flat earth theory, which culminated with a propane tank being thrown into a campfire and a subsequent call to the police. Hashtag panic state.
So all this around regarding Bigfoot is the center of attention for this.
Yes.
Well, you know what, Bob? It better be. I don't blame him. I mean, listen. When there's concern in the town. There's probably not much to do over there, so let's let them have their stories.
Listen, I have never had a call to plea to get two people on my show ever. I have never wanted more than to have these two men that were fighting in this news article to come forward.
Yeah, I know.
Look, Ohioans, I know you listen from, OhioCon. If this is you, if you know who this is, please have them reach out to me, Bob at bobafterdark.com.
Yeah.
We need answers.
We need answers.
We
These are
need
questions and answers.
this. This gave me nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong. The news story is great. Thanks to, Tim did the best that Tim could do on writing the article. Didn't find out why. I need to know why.
Yeah.
I desperately need to know why. And listen, if you guys call in to the show or want to Skype in, whatever it might be that you want to do, gotta use the term Skype. Do people even Skype anymore?
They still do.
Zoom calls.
Zoom,
yeah. But anyway, if you want a video call in, I will let you two debate for 5 minutes on the show. I will each give you 2.5 minutes each to state your case, and it won't be that heated because you're not in the same room with each other, assuming you're not in the same room with each other, and I will let you fight it out.
They could air out their differences on this.
You will.
Yeah.
With the passing of Jerry Springer, somebody needs to do it.
What you could be? That's the place.
I'm the paranormal. God, that's so weird. The paranormal Maury Povich, everybody. I need to know why.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Tim says in the article here about, maybe arguing that it's real or not real. I mean, I get into debates about that stuff. It comes with the territory of what we do, right?
Yep.
But I've never come to blows with somebody.
No.
Or that heat of an argument. Yeah, I might get somebody's like, oh, ghosts aren't real or whatever it might be. And I'll be like, yeah, but, you might get a little heated.
Yeah.
But a debate to where you need to call the cops, man.
Yeah. Well, it happened. Listen, Bob, it does happen, I guess, out there. And this is one of the stories that really makes it interesting when it does occur.
All right. Moving on here.
Yeah.
Next story comes to us once again from Tim Banal, and then we'll get to the other one. The title: Mexican mayor reveals possible goblin remains found in a town. You heard that right? Goblin remains. A mayor in Mexico left his constitutes scratching their heads when he took to social media to showcase what he suggested could be remains of a goblin that has been discovered by workers in the community. According to a local media report, the very strange find was revealed last month in an online broadcast by Francisco Mayoral Flores, who presides over the town of, Huasca de Ocampo, Huscadeocampo, standing alongside the two men who have presumably made the discovery. The mayor held the box containing the mysterious humanoid remains and explained the curious corpse been unearthed in a disused warehouse. In the article, Flores indicated that although doctors and vets have stated that it is a malformed fetus or of a cat or a dog, he argued that it is definitive remains cannot be from an animal since the ears, the hands are human. Coinciding that the officials are uncertain to what the oddity might be, the mayor marveled that many people in the community have speculated that it could be supernatural in nature. Specifically, Flores suggested that it might be a goblin-like creature in Latin America folklore known as a duende, D-U-E-N-D-E. I'm not familiar with the creature. We'll look that up and get somebody on that knows a little bit more than me, which is a goblin-like creature, like I said, in Latin American folklore, or similarly mystical shape-shifting entity known as a Naquil, N-A-Q-U-A-L. The mayor reportedly went on to post that if it had found in another municipality, it would have been not as relevant. But in this particular town, just so happens to be known as a magical town that officials recognize by the Mexican government for its rich folkloric traditions centered around supernatural entities such as the Naqual and the Duende. As such, Flores declared, there is a cultural and social demand to give it importance. The town even boasts a museum that is dedicated to goblins, where the remains are now on display while officials await the results of scientific tests, which will hopefully determine its true nature. Hashtag Panik's Take.
Bob, we got
I'll send you over the photo of this, by the way.
Yeah, I like to see it. We got to do more goblins
Stories,
I feel like. I mean, has there been an episode dedicated to the goblins yet?
No. I don't know what to... That's a weird ass there, Panik. Just do a goblin episode.
A goblin, yeah. Maybe not this particular goblin, but you hear about ghosts, ghouls, but never too much about goblins. So I'm happy to get this story, and I got your message. And
I sent it over. Take a look. I like the surprise count with these things, so you can be able to see.
Again,
if you scroll down and look, Now I have my opinion.
Oh, I see this now. It's like a goblin.
It's a goblin.
Yeah.
Like say goblin.
What do you think? That might be a goblin.
I am not a veterinarian expert
No.
or a biologist. I just play one on TV.
Yeah.
I could see where the mayor's coming from, because it definitely looks human in the head a little bit almost, and that kind of looks like hands. But it's got like the legs of a dog.
Well, yeah, but the head. I get. See, we need to. Can't they put some research into this? Scientific
Well, they're studying it now.
Yeah, I know, but it seems like we feel like we're concluding it's a goblin.
There's no evidence right now. There's no answer. Do we have any listeners or fans of, or even just people from WJOB that are veterinarian experts?
Geez, I'm trying to think of our vet experts. I mean. There's one down the. There's the vet. There's the vet hospital down the road from us.
Well, I didn't know if anybody sponsored the studio.
No sponsors. But
because we have space related people that are on call for space stuff.
We need a vet.
We need a vet on call. So listen.
Well, why about this? I'll print the photo out and I'll go down the block. I'll walk down the block and then.
Yeah, just be like, hey, listen, this is who I am.
What is this?
What's your take on this?
Yeah.
Goblin or dog?
Dog goblin.
So what's your take? Do you think it's a goblin?
Probably not.
I'm going with no.
I'm
going to be honest with you. I'm all about this mayor. This mayor is my buddy.
Yeah.
I will go to Mexico just to go check out this museum in this supernatural magical town.
Yeah.
What better place to find a skeleton of a goblin than in a city known for its magical properties, right?
That makes sense.
And to disregard the specialists that are like, yeah, man, that's definitely a dog or a cat, and just be like, no, that's a goblin, may look really good to tourists like me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all I really got on the matter. I mean, I'll post this on the Children of Night page so you guys can take a look at it yourselves, and I want your opinion. Do you believe it's a goblin or a dog feline? In my opinion, I think it looks like a giant rat.
Yeah. It does. But, you know what? Right now we'll call it a goblin, although I don't think it's a goblin. You don't think it's a goblin. I think society might have a few things to say about this.
But you'll print this out, right? You'll go
seriously.
Go down there and be like, "Hey, look, I got to get your opinion."
Yeah.
So next week when we're back, we could get an answer.
The full mode, yeah.
All right. Moving on, our final story comes to us from Tim Stello at NBCnews.com. The title of the article is 6 cattle that had died mysteriously in Texas had their tongues removed, authorities said. This was sent in by listener Desmond from Detroit. 6 cattle died mysteriously in Texas with their tongues removed. The hide around one of the side of their mouths are gone and no blood spilled, authorities said this week. The cause of death of the 6 animals was unknown. The Madison County Sheriff's Office in a statement Wednesday, as of Friday, this past Friday, there have been no updates in the case, as a dispatcher said. The cattle were found along Texas State Highway in 3 counties, Madison, Brazos, and Robertson, with each animal a part of a different herd and a different pasture, the sheriff's office said. 5 of the animals were adults, the sheriff's office said. 1 was a yearling. It wasn't immediately clear what they did. The sex of the animals wasn't disclosed. In cases, the animal's genitalia and anuses have been removed with circular cut that the sheriff's office said had to have been made with the same precision and cuts noted around the jaw lines of each cow. Investigators with the Madison County Sheriff's Office discovered 5 deaths after ranchers alerted authorities to a dead 6-year-old longhorn cross cow, the statement said. The grass around the bodies of all 6 animals were undisturbed, with no signs of struggle, no footprint or tire tracks found, and the sheriff's office said. Ranchers also reported that no predators or birds would scavenge the remains of the cow, leaving it to decay untouched for several weeks, the sheriff's office said. The sheriff's office noted that similar incidents have been reported across the United States and was coordinating with the other law enforcement agencies. In 2019, authorities in Oregon found 5 dead bulls that had their sex organs and tongues removed, the Associated Press reported. The deaths prompted theories that included everything from carrion bugs to spaceships and cult killings. According to the Associated Press, it wasn't clear if the deaths were solved. An FBI agent who investigated an earlier wave of mysterious cattle deaths on tribal lands told the Associated Press that there was no indication that anything other than a common predator was behind these deaths. Hashtag panic steak.
Yeah, you would think a common predator. So what are they chalking up to? They think it's something that's
They don't have an answer.
Yeah.
The FBI agent says it's a natural cause, but man, that's pretty...
That's a lot going on.
That's a lot going on for a common predator, bro.
What could it be? Are we thinking a cryptid?
So I reached out to Dr. Ben Vanderson,
Yeah.
keeper of the lore, and I got his opinion on it. His words were aliens. It's like, that sounds extraterrestrial to me.
It's got to be aliens.
Whatever it is, it's flying.
Yeah.
Because there's no tire tracks. There's no drag marks. There's no, you know what I mean? The area around it wasn't disturbed.
No.
And the things were cut out precision-like.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be.
This
is not like the goblin story. This got to be something otherworldly.
Strange.
Yeah, strange.
It's definitely strange.
Someone-
If it is humans doing it,
Yeah.
they've got me baffled, because I've reread this article several times since I've discovered it, trying to figure it out. Well, how'd they do it without disturbing the ground? It's a cow, man.
Yeah.
You know, cows are major big animals.
They are. They're huge, massive.
So how are you going to move one without disturbing the ground?
I don't know.
So the only thing I could think of is, they drop it in by crane or something. But I'm sticking with Ben's answer. I'm going with an extraterrestrial explanation here.
What's the old image? The UFO raising a cow.
Raising
up to
the cow,
the
exactly.
spacecraft.
That's
So
a pretty
this
popular trope.
This is it right here, I guess.
I would say so.
Yeah.
You going extraterrestrial or humanly? Or predator? They said natural predator, too.
Let's go E.T. Extraterrestrial. Well, because you never know.
Right.
Cows and ETs have a relationship with each other.
All right. Count, you want to take a quick break?
Sure, I could go for one right now.
All right, folks, stick around. You're about to be hearing words from a podcast that you should be listening to. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Ghostly.
Pat, what are you doing?
What? I want people to know that we're a podcast that takes a deep dive into some of the scariest ghost stories.
But we don't do the creepy voices or weird sound effects. We debate the ghost stories. And aren't you supposed to be the skeptic?
I am, but they'll find that out once they listen.
Look, all you have to do is tell them to listen to Ghostly, and that our listeners get to decide which stories are real.
And which stories are just old folklore.
Exactly.
Download Ghostly wherever you find great podcasts.
Oh, jeez.
And we're back.
Hey.
Hello, Count Panek.
Hey, Bob. How's it going?
Oh, it goes well. How about yourself?
Not too bad, Bob. Not too bad at all.
What'd you do during break?
I went out to hunt some goblins.
You went to go hunt some goblins?
Yeah. And guess what? Found a whole bunch of them.
I got into an argument in a Chili's parking lot myself.
What was it about?
Mothman.
Okay.
You know, I almost went to blows with the guy.
Yeah, that happens. That's the thing going on around these days. Yeah. Seems to be a popular thing to do.
I've never been to Chili's a day in my life. I don't
Really?
think. No, I don't think I've ever been to one.
You been to Applebee's?
I went to Applebee's once.
Yeah, kind of like
Twice,
that, right?
maybe. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Count Panek.
Yeah.
Do you know what some of my favorite stories to tell are?
What kind of stories?
Yokai stories.
Yokai.
You remember what we talked about yokai?
I've heard of yokai.
Okay.
Refresh us.
All right, so the yokai is a very, I don't want to say generic, but a very broad term for a supernatural entity in Japanese folklore.
Yeah.
So, in essence, cryptid, ghost, shape-shifting ghoul, flip-flops that turn into living creatures are all considered yokai. By the way, the living flip-flop's a total thing called the Bakizori.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's wonderful. I do a lot of yokai stories when I do anime conventions because, Japanese folklore falls into anime stuff. So I do my yokai panel, and a lot of my fans out there know me as the yokai guy, even though I don't cover a lot of yokai on the show.
You're not known for being the yokai guy.
Just only at cons. People know, oh, you're the yokai guy. I'm like, I do other things, but I don't talk enough about yokai. And I found one I wanted to talk about. It's a decent story. It's not the longest, but it's still pretty good.
All right.
The Teke Teke.
Teke Teke.
Teke Teke. It's actually, so I'm going to read a little bit here.
Sure.
The Teke Teke is an interesting name, and you want to know why?
Why?
It's not onomatopoeia.
Oh,
It was named after the sound of her walking on her hands. I'll explain why here in a minute. Alternate names also go as the Shaka Shaka, Pada Pada, Kata Kata, Kodo Kodo, and Kijake Baba. I don't know if I pronounced that one right. My Japanese, believe it or not, is a pinch better than my other ones.
Really?
I'll still butcher stuff,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, but I can at least do a little Japanese. The very, very, I could see a word and pronounce
Gets you
it for
by.
the most part. Yeah. Don't ask, if you dropped me in the middle of Japan right now and told me I had to go speak to someone, I would be screwed. But, I could read it and be able to say it out loud for the most part.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the Teke Teke, right?
Yeah, let's talk.
So the Teke Teke is a ghost who appears in a number of urban legends. Teke Teke are almost always women, though in a few versions of the urban legend, the ghost is male. For the argument's sake, we're going to be just referring to it as a she because that's, the traditional story. And this is coming straight from yokai.com, by the way. It's a great yokai encyclopedia website. Yeah. She has no lower half, and she runs about on her arms, creating the distinctive Teke Teke noise from the sound that she gets her name. The Teke Teke chases its victims down dark roads. Despite having no legs, a Teke Teke can run incredibly fast. So fast, in fact, that it can even catch up to its victims who are speeding away in cars. Really? When it catches them, something terrible happens. The legends are not always clear on what. In some variations of the story of the Teke Teke, it carries a sickle, and it slices victims in half at the waist and steals their legs. Ask me how it carries the sickle.
How does it carry it?
I don't know. I'd assume in its mouth, in which case that's some major jaw power,
There's
right?
a lot of action going on.
In the origin of it, like with most urban legends, there are many versions of the story of the Teke Teke that is impossible to know what the origin story was or where it began. Every locality has its own version of which different details. In some stories, the Teke Teke was the victim of a tragic accident. In others, it was suicide. In some stories, certain magic charms can protect you from its wrath. In others, nothing can protect you, and you will certainly die. In some versions, the Teke Teke's victims become Teke Teke themselves. and there are a number of threads in common between many of the variations, and the most common ones point towards a woman from Hokigato. I just said I'd be able to do this better, and I totally butchered it. I ate my words. Named Kashima Riku.
Okay.
Kashima Riku. In the years after World War II, an officer worker in Muranin, Hokkaido, was assaulted and, we'll just say, abused by an American military personnel. That night, she leaped off of a bridge on the railroad tracks and was hit by an oncoming train. The impact was so forceful that her body was torn in half by the waist. The severe cold of the night caused her blood vessels to contract and prevented her from bleeding out quickly. Instead, she squirmed and wriggled about for help for several minutes. She crawled all the way to the train station and was seen by an attendant. Instead of trying to help her, the station attendant just covered her with plastic wrap. She died a slow, agonizing death. What a way to die, man.
Yeah, horrible.
According to legend, 3 days after hearing this story, you will see a ghost. Yeah, I totally got you guys on this, by the way. According to legend, 3 days after hearing this story, you will see the ghost of a woman with no lower half. The ghost is that of a woman hit by a train. The ghost will try to catch you, and the only escape is... And escape is impossible, even in a car. That the ghost can crawl. The ghost can crawl up to speeds of 150 kilometers per hour. That is fast. Some say the ghost is searching for her legs, which were lost when she was cut in half. Others say that she is angry for humanity for not helping her when she was dying, and that she was simply put out to slaughter as many people as she can. When she catches you, she will tear you in half and steal the lower half of your body. Shortly after hearing their legend, she will ask you a riddle, either in a dream or a mysterious phone call. The only way to escape death is to answer her questions exactly the right way. She will ask you, "Do you need your legs?" And you must reply, "I need them right now." And then she will ask you, "Who told you my story?" And you must reply, "Kashima Riku," as in a mask, as in death, as in demon, as in ghost, as in accident. If you answer her riddles without mistake, she may just let you live.
Interesting.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, so this is one of those entities that likes to kind of play a game with you in a sense, right?
Yeah, we talked about the Kuchisaki Onna
Yeah.
recently. It's the same concept where she, asks you, do you think I'm beautiful? And depending on how you answer is the fate you serve.
Answer me.
Answer me, my riddle's 3. This one's more like,
A little different.
hey man, I'm gonna call you. So listen, I totally screwed all of you guys up. But for our children in the audience, you let me know if you get a mysterious phone call from a creepy, ghost lady.
Yeah.
Let me know. Me and Count Panek will go over there and take care
check
of
it out.
you.
Yeah,
we're on our way.
Just a little talk.
Yeah, we'll talk it over
Yeah.
with her. But yeah, there are a lot of strange yokai, right? And my fans of my panels all know this, that I take a tongue-in-cheek humor with studying these things because some of them are absolutely ridiculous, and I won't go into it because it's not appropriate for the podcast. But I will tell you that on the flip side of some of the, more hilarious ones, like the Shirime, I'm not going to tell you what that is. You have to look it up on your own. In this case, with the Teke Teke, this thing's horrifying.
It is horrifying.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
If you will, right? I'm going to paint a picture, if you will. Imagine you are driving down the street when you see a ghost lady, a lady in white, not floating by you,
No.
but running at you. And not just running at you like jogging. No, bro, this thing it's got its hands. She's standing on her hands and is able to run 150 kilometers an hour. Just imagine that. How scary is that?
It's horrifying. I mean, the fact that the slow moving, I think, would be enough, but a fast moving one moves swiftly and precisely, just horrible. Horrifying.
By the way, you want to know how fast that is in American
How fast
terms?
is it?
150 kilometers is about 93.21 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So that thing's running on its hands at you. Just
Yeah.
absolutely horrifying.
Horrible.
And in some of the variations, like I was saying, she's with a sickle. Now, the only way you're going to hold it if she has no lower parts, if her hands are busy doing the running. The only
Yeah.
place I can imagine is she's holding this object in her mouth, which makes it even more terrifying. Imagine it just comes running at you.
Yeah, no.
And it just slices you at the ankles, man.
Horrible, horrible, horrible. I can't even imagine it. I don't want to imagine it. It's horrible.
So, did you enjoy my story?
Yeah, and the thing is, these again, entities, whatever it is, cryptids, ghouls, goblins, even I'll include the goblins. In this. The trivia questions are the strange part, right? Because you focus so much. It's hard enough passing a test in school or trying to do some homework, but now you're like dealing with your life, quizzes, tests, riddles, whatnot, just to stay safe. And you got this spooky figure going on here. So I think that's the worst kind of thing sometimes.
Okay. It is such a popular yokai story. There's actually a movie that
there is.
2009 Japanese supernatural horror filmed. It was done in 2009, and they released a sequel of the same year. It was written by Koji Shirarashi and Takai Akimoto.
Yeah.
I don't know either name, to be completely honest with you, but the movie poster is eerie. It is got the kanji, the Japanese kanji, and I'm assuming the Teke Teke is the words written down, and it's like this weird covered bridge with like smoke, and then it's emitting the figures coming. Oh my god, it's giving me the frights just looking at it. But according to Wikipedia here, because I'm just reading the critical reception to this. I knew about the film. I had it written down, but I was curious about the critical reception.
Yeah.
Didn't think to read it. But according to Wikipedia here, Teke Teke received mixed reviews. Chris Fox of Wicked Horror called the film a textbook example of low-budget genre filmmaking done right. Adam Simcock of Asian Movie Pulse wrote that beyond the phenomenal creature design, the film remains a rather generic telling of a popular urban legend with a plot and performances that are just passable. So, a couple different words there, Count.
A few things to describe it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Not the most glowing.
No, but it's not, we get a lot of these stories that make it into movies. I've seen Bigfoot movies, and they're absolutely terrible. The Mothman Prophecies is really good. That's my go-to real life lore paranormal movie. I like the Mothman Prophecies, Amityville Horror, etc. But then you have the Teke Teke movie, and it's fun. You can watch it now on Apple TV.
Streaming currently,
according to the internet. Yeah. So if you're interested in doing a little research of your own on the Teke Teke, that's what you got there.
There's a lot of cryptid movies that need to be made yet. Nessie, I think the old cat. There's more to be done with cryptid in movies.
Okay, so I got to ask you. I like to do this stuff with you. So apparently there's no way of killing this thing, so I can't tell you how to defend yourself. I just set you all for failure.
Yeah.
So, out of most things I talk about, Count Panek, we're going to set up a new scale. On the Panek Spooky Scale,
okay.
That's what we're going to call it,
yeah.
the Panek Spooky Scale. Mm-hmm. Where does this rate on a scale through one being the Yule Cat, where it's not terrifying at all? Count Panek just wants to pet the tummy of that thing and call it a day. And then 3 being I don't know, what's the scariest thing we've ever talked about that's freaked you out?
The man-eating gourd?
Okay, so 1 being the Yule Cat, 3 being the man-eating gourd.
Yeah.
Or we'll say the 5 is the man-eating gourd.
Sure.
1 through 5.
Yeah.
Where does the Teke Teke land?
1 through 5. Well, the Teke Teke, here's the problem. You started out with that statement. You can't defeat the Teke Teke, which is, there's no way around. So that's the ultimate terrifying entity, I feel, right there. I'm going to go with the full-on 5 because you can't defeat it.
Yes.
If there was a way to defeat it, I would say, okay, let me weigh my options with that. If I could easily defeat it, then make it a 3 or make it a 4. The fact that you can't defeat it, let's slap up number 5 on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can't defeat it, right? So that's terrifying. If I could if you gave me an option of a way to defeat it, I might reconsider that stance.
So what's scarier? Because I've done a couple yokai stories with you. Not a lot, but I've done a couple. So let's just compare the Teke Teke to the Kushisaki Onna.
Okay.
Which one's scarier to you?
Oh, man. Well, maybe because Teke Teke is fresh in my mind. I have to really kind of sit down and weigh those out. But I need to get more of a refresher course on the
Kushisaki Onna.
Yeah, and then compare them fairly.
Okay, that's fair. So I want an answer for the next time.
All right.
Excellent with the answer of
Teke
the
Teke.
goblin. That's just scary, man. Anything that you name a creature that's an onomatopoeia, where it's coming after its name and the sound, and if that sound isn't pleasant, imagine us making an onomatopoeia creature called the drip drip.
Yeah.
And the drip drip makes its name because it's liquid and it goes drip 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 as it walks by. That's terrifying.
It is horrible. Terrifying.
So, do you have any closing words for our audience tonight?
If you see a goblin you think is laying around, best not to pick the goblin up. Leave the professionals to pick up that goblin.
You have nothing to say about the Teke Teke. You're still stuck on the goblin skeleton.
I'm going to end my note on the goblin.
Okay. Folks, thank you so much for watching, or I should just say listening to another episode of Bob After Dark. This is a podcast exclusive.
Yeah.
So I just want to say good night to all of you, to my mom, sweet dreams, Dad, wherever you are in the universe. I hope you're happy and comfortable. And to Tiff, no matter where you are in the world, I hope you have the sweetest dreams of them all. Good night, everybody. And remember, the two most important rules of Bob After Dark are not all who wander are lost, and as above, so below. Until next time.
Memoriam Development.
Goal.